If you knew morning wood, then you know why I feel blue. Without morning, my morning wood. Oh, well, I love you, yes, I love you, morning wood. Morning wood, morning wood. Oh, how my heart yearns for you. Oh, morning, my morning wood. Oh, well, I love you, yes, I love you, morning wood. Morning wood, morning wood. Pretty, 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 pretty morning wood. Oh, morning, my morning wood. Oh, well, I love you and I need you, morning wood. I love you, morning wood, with a love so rare and true. Oh, morning, my morning wood. Well, I love you, I want you, morning wood.
Rise and shine. Happy Devil's Tuesday. This is the Morning Woo. Coming to you live from an undisclosed location in beautiful New Jersey. Well, let's just say New Brunswick, New Jersey. Streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, X Live, Twitch, and now on Instagram Live on the Let's Go Devils Network. As today is episode 115. Get it? 15. And it's all about Johnny Mac, which is the title today. Johnny Mac being inducted into the Devils' Ring of Honor tonight when the Devils take on the Winnipeg Jets. Should be a good one. Johnny Mac, one of my favorites growing up as a New Jersey Devils fan. Johnny Mac winning a Stanley Cup with the New Jersey Devils. Johnny Mac also as assistant coach of the New Jersey Devils in 2003, winning the Stanley Cup. And Johnny Mac also the coach of the New Jersey Devils at one point. Happy Devils Tuesday to you, Maria. Happy Devils Tuesday to you, Pod Legend. Good to see you folks in the YouTube Live. As we're live right now, talking about Johnny Mac, welcoming all those visitors coming in. And quite frankly, let's talk about Johnny Mac and his contributions to the New Jersey Devils, as he is the Ring of Honor inductee, Devils legend. Again, John Maclean, affectionately known as Johnny Mac, fourth inductee in franchise history. And I loved it when the Harris Blitzer Sports Entertainment Group, and I know that I'm very critical of them, but doing the Ring of Honor was definitely needed, because to honor Dr. McMullen as like the first honoree, Sergey Brylin as well, because there was this, the whole debate about, whether Sergey Brylin should have his jersey retired, but that kind of negates that a little bit. And a Ring of Honor, Sergey Brylin, lifelong Devil. But what's nice about this is that John Maclean was pretty much like Ken Danico and Bruce Stryver. They're from the start. Drafted in 1983 by the New Jersey Devils. An offensive power seasons of 40 goals and 40 assists for Johnny Mac. You can remember him for his clutch goals. Remember getting the Devils into the playoffs for the first time in their history in overtime. The Devils had to win. And the call by Gary Thorne and seeing Johnny Mac score that goal past Darren Pang. And it was one of the most memorable calls in Devils history when they made the playoffs for the first time in their history and going on that Cinderella run, taking the Boston Bruins in the Eastern Conference Finals to 7 games. And if you remember the have another donut, and the whole thing with the restraining orders and replacement referees and all that jazz, Johnny Mac, again, was one of the Devils' premier players at that time period. But Johnny Mac selected 6th overall in 1983. And he's actually the team's first ever first-round pick in New Jersey after they relocated from Colorado. Just an interesting thought. Also, according to Wikipedia, he made his NHL debut on October 5th, 1983 against the New York Rangers and played 15 years with the Devils and played 934 games, which is just insane. And the reason why I say it's insane, because if you remember Johnny Mac in preseason one year, he tore his ACL. I believe it was his ACL. And, back in those days, blowing out your knee was pretty much career-ending for most players. But Johnny Mac was probably one of the forefronts and was able to recover and actually have a very productive NHL career afterwards. I mean, I was devastated as a kid. You had just won the compensation for Scott Stevens from St. Louis. If you remember that Brendan Shanahan, Scott Stevens saga with Lou Lamoriello in St. Louis. You had just gotten Scott Stevens, and your best offensive player, Johnny Mac, John Maclean, goes out, which I thought maybe his career was done, but having reconstructive knee surgery. And actually, my physical therapist, turned out years later, my physical therapist was one of the physical therapists that helped him rehab that knee. And he told me he worked very hard to get that knee back into shape. And NY Davey says, Sam, talk about the PIMs for their most talented offensive players, back then. Yeah, I mean, it was a different league back then. John Maclean was not just an offensive player. He was in your face, and he was always in those scrums in front of the net. I mean, I wish the New Jersey Devils would have some of these players in front of the net in these scrums. So, again, it was a different time period back then, but John Maclean was always in it. I mean, obviously Ken Danico was always in those scrums as well. Ken Danico having thousands of penalty minutes to his name. These guys play tough, And Dubzilla is saying that play like they did last year in the Ring of Honor game. Stop effing around, boys. Make the franchise proud. Yeah, and Tom, I would agree with you. That playoff run in 1988 got you hooked. I mean, I was in 4th grade at the time. Like I tell the infamous story, back in 1986, 1987, that was when I was kind of picking my teams. And I'm like, oh, I like the Mets. They won the World Series. Oh, I like the Giants. They won the Super Bowl a few months after. And then, I like the New York Knicks. Mark Jackson was drafted, and Patrick Ewing, and Bernard King, and I believe Bill Cartwright was still on the team at the time. So, I started to get into sports. Oh, New York. And then with the Rangers, again, hockey was hard to find on TV, but when every time I watched the Rangers on WWOR Channel 9 with the rabbit ears and the aluminum foil, they lost. Bob froze. I always wanted to see John Van Beesbrook. Bob froze always started on the road, and Beesbrook always started at home. But they only showed road games on Channel 9, and every single time the Rangers lost. And I was able to read a newspaper, the Star Ledger, okay, and I noticed in the standings the team New Jersey Devils in the standings. They weren't very good, but you know what? That's my team. And then they went on this miracle run, and Johnny Mac was part of that. It is crazy that he is going to be inducted in the Ring of Honor. So, getting back, overall stats. Let's talk about the career highlights of John Maclean. His offensive breakout really came out in the late 80s. He notched 3 consecutive 40-goal seasons from 1988 to 89 season to 1990 and 91. So that's when he started to get confident and started peaking. After that overtime goal against Darren Pang to make the playoffs, he had a career high of 45 goals in 1990-91. And, of course, unfortunately, he blew out his knee during preseason. But that made him a 2-time All-Star both in 1989 and 91 and was literally the cornerstone of the New Jersey Devils offense. Overall stats, with Devils stats, and I'm just talking Devils only, for John Maclean, 347 goals and 354 assists, 701 points, and holds I don't know if he's still holds this record, but 197 power play points, franchise records, at one point, okay, but still ranking in the top in terms of scoring for your New Jersey Devils. Let's see here. Again, like I said, he had that severe knee injury, bounced back, served as the alternate captain. If you remember that scene of Scott Stevens holding the cup, and there's John Maclean and Bruce Driver next to him, that infamous picture as well, serving as alternate captain, and even Jacques Lemaire even reflected, that they were underdogs, but also John Maclean's defensive style was undervalued as well, during that whole Stanley Cup run. We talked about the 1988 overtime heroics, but milestones, he played alongside Kirk Muller as well, but when he broke Kirk Muller's all-time record at the time, guess who he did it against? It was a penalty shot, if you remember, against Dominik Hasek in 1993, which is crazy. There's a video out there, out on Facebook, all that. But, now this is one of the sad moments when Johnny Maclean was traded to the San Jose Sharks, played there, and then, if you remember, he went to the New York Rangers. He got his money. He definitely got his money, but, again, late 90s Rangers, they didn't amount to anything. I mean, that's where players ruined their careers, and but they got their money back in the late 90s going to New York Rangers. But if you remember the Dallas Stars, he was actually a Dallas Star, John Maclean, and remember that line called the Grumpy Old Men line? Yeah, John Maclean was on that fourth line for the Dallas Stars, who were really good back in the late 90s and early 2000s. And if you remember that the Dallas Stars, I don't think, no, John Maclean wasn't on that 2000 team, but, he retired in June 7th, 2002 with 413 goals, 429 assists, 842 points in 1,194 games. After 2002, John Maclean transitioned to assistant coach of the New Jersey Devils and winning a second Stanley Cup in 2003. Later, coached the Devils in 2010, I believe. In 2010, that was the emphasis. He didn't do too well. Got fired by Lou mid-season, but because of that season, the Devils were able to get the 4th overall pick, which was Adam Larson. Adam Larson eventually became Taylor Hall. Taylor Hall is now spread over to Dawson Mercer and maybe Jonas Siegenthaler as well. And then, they traded Kevin Ball. I forgot what they got in return. But with that said, John Maclean having a huge part of the New Jersey Devils and turning around the Mickey Mouse organization into contenders. So, again, I want to hear your comments on the YouTube Live. Let's see. I'm seeing. Wow. Look, pronunciations is not the thing of this podcast. I'll look into it tonight. I see some about McLean. It's all the same difference to me. Let's see here. Dubzilla says this is a special night. Woo, folks. Anyone who can should go. Let's hope that the boys can show the effort is needed to honor Johnny Mac. Let's see here. So Pod Legend, I will look it up in the NHL dictionary on this pronunciation. I mean, come on, let's not get too fancy. I mean, is it Martin Brodeur or is it Martin Brodeur? It's come on, folks. Oh, it's a big difference. Dubzilla. Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, we'll just call him Johnny Mac. But if you call it Johnny Mac, I would say that you don't call somebody Johnny Mac if he's Scottish. You call him Johnny Mac if he's Irish, though. I can make that argument all day long. Anyway, but Johnny Mac Jim Norris says Johnny Mac is back tonight. Let's get a win. But let's go over and again, tonight's ceremony. You can dub Johnny Mac as an original Devil, even though he came in 1983. Even the managing partner, David Blitzer, has praised him as an integral to the team's evolution to a champion. Right? So anyway, it should be good tonight. It should be fun. And I'm looking forward to that. I'll be at American Whiskey. Are you going to be there, Dubzilla, at American Whiskey tonight? You're telling everybody to go there, but are you going to be at American Whiskey? I'll be at American Whiskey up in the attic. But Pod Legend says, I didn't mean to make a big deal of it. Just heard Doc and Chico say it's a certain way for years. It just rang in my ears weird. Whatever. Well, it's not as bad as the politician back on Marty Brodeur Day at the. If you remember, the Devils held a NJ Transit sponsored trip to the Capitol for Marty Brodeur Day, and one of the politicians who doesn't follow hockey but who's all about Marty Brodeur pronounced the name Martin Browder. I think that's what he said, and we were just like, oh. Anyway. All right, well, I'm going to get out of here, folks. I am going to see you at American Whiskey a little bit later. Dropping the podcast in about 20 minutes for your morning and afternoon commute. And let's get to the ceremonial sip. to Johnny Mac. It's your day. Enjoy it. Till next time, let's go Devils.
Morning woo.